coming at you with another episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. This, of course, is the podcast made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than Tampa Bay Real Producers. We get to hang out today with Annie Fleeting. Annie is the broker of Next Home Beach Time Realty. So we'll definitely talk about that genesis and the story of how that got built. Annie is somebody who we have featured actually in a previous issue of Tampa Bay Real Producers as a broker spotlight. That might have been, a year and a half ago now, I think?
A while ago.
It was a little while ago, yeah. And finally we had Annie come out to one of our events. It took a while, but we did get her out.
Well, you came to the beach.
We came to her next door, so we hung out at Hotel Zamora. This was just, I guess, last month, right?
Yeah, that was good fun.
And we had a great time. I got to hang out with Annie's hilarious husband, and we got the chance to give her frame finally, and it was a great evening. So that was one of our MVP socials. But let's dive into your story a little bit. It's usually what we do is just kind of start with your background, and did you grow up in this area? If not, how'd you find your way to Tampa? Eventually, how'd you get into real estate? So why don't we start there?
Well, I'm actually a native of St. Petersburg, Florida. I was born and raised there.
There you go.
My first office is in St. Pete Beach that I opened with Next Home Beach Time Realty, and I went to elementary school on that island. So
you know it well.
Yep. I have moved in between times and lived elsewhere, but wound up coming back to my roots.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so when did you end up getting interested in real estate?
Well, my family were involved in real estate. My father had a property management company, which my brother still operates today, and so I showed my first property when I was 11.
Okay, it was in the blood, huh?
Yeah. So, but it was property management. So he was doing Section 236 HUD housing, and I was showing rentals.
Okay.
And I learned the difference between a salary and commission because I didn't get paid for that since I didn't make the sale. Right?
Yes, so, probably a great lesson at 11 years old.
At a very young age.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then I went back and got my real estate license when I was 21.
Okay.
For the first time.
And so did you immediately dive right into like residential real estate, or
I
what
didn't.
was
I was still doing property management.
You were, yeah.
At that time. In fact, I was managing the place that I had shown property at when I was 11.
How about that?
So it came full circle. But and then I was doing property development, so we were building townhomes and condos in the area.
Okay.
And then wound up getting my license again in 2010.
Okay, so you were not licensed there for a little while, and then had to
right, because you don't need to be licensed for new home sales when you're the developer.
Gotcha.
Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you said your dad still runs that business?
No, my father has passed away,
okay.
But my brother, Jim Chadwick, he runs it now.
Gotcha. And so do you still serve those same properties that you had?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. He's a much bigger operation than I am. So, but they manage thousands of units, and mostly they do low-income housing for elderly and otherwise. He's also involved in blue sky communities. I don't know, you see them on TV opening up these great new low-income housing. It's
Very
a tough,
cool. There's a need for that
place here. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing that's like still a big need countrywide, really federally, is the idea for, that's why the government wants to try to throw as many incentives as they can to try to help with low-income housing specifically, is what I hear about all the time.
Right, and especially where we are with land cost being what it is.
For sure.
It's very difficult to be able to build something that you can have be affordable housing.
Yeah, no doubt. Is it mostly Pinellas County that the focus is?
Pinellas and Hillsborough. They just broke ground on a place in North Tampa with blue sky communities.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my niece and her husband that are doing that too. So
Very
there's
cool.
a lot of people that are involved in real estate in the family.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So the Fleeting family has had real estate in the blood for many, many years, huh?
Well, no, I'm the first Fleeting. The rest of them are Chadwicks.
That makes sense. I'm sorry, what's the maiden name?
Chadwick.
Okay, There you go. Any relation to Kevin Chadwick?
Actually, he and I were in 7th grade together.
Is that right? That was the only correlation.
That was the only correlation. Everybody thought we were brother and sister, but we were not.
Interesting. So. Yeah, I years ago I used to have a franchise in Snell Isle. I think I might have told you that. And Kevin was one of the first agents that I started meeting with and connecting with in that area. So
I think he pulled my pigtail once or twice.
So at what point did you start converting from doing what you were doing in the property management space to then kind of doing your own thing residentially and building that career?
Well, in 2007, when the market crashed, we had 11 different developments in different stages.
Okay.
So there was a need to go back to property management because I had condos that people hadn't closed on, but the bank still wanted to get paid. Right?
Of course, they always do.
Yeah, they do. So I started renting out, doing vacation rentals, short-term vacation rentals, and now I have a small management company. We manage about 130, 135 properties as vacation rentals.
Nice.
And it just kind of grew from that. It started with desperation, right?
Usually greatness does.
Yeah. And we're in a very comfortable place now.
Very cool. So has this short-term rental focus, this has been a big part of your business plan for a while, it sounds like.
Yeah, since 2007. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Which I don't think that was extreme. I mean, now it seems like it's booming, right? You
Right.
see it everywhere, but that wasn't the culture back then. Educate me if I'm wrong. I don't feel like it was as popular nearly as what it is today.
There wasn't Airbnb.
Right, of course, yep.
So it was not mainstream by any manner of means. But where I'm from in St. Pete Beach, we're a vacation town, right? So, and where our properties were, they were well, situated for doing vacation rentals.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's lucrative. It's also very labor intensive. So,
Yeah.
But it's, of course, subsequently exploded. So,
and it fits well with your property management background.
it does.
So there's that makes a lot of sense.
And now there's a lot of very big players that are coming in and buying up smaller companies. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for our industry, but
Right.
it is what it is. Where the money is, they will follow, right?
Yeah, of course. That makes sense. So what brokerage were you with initially when you were starting to build that career? Because Next Home Beach Time was opened when?
I joined in 2015. So, but it's still the same one. I started
So
a
you've
company
been-
called Beach Time Realty Group.
So that was in 2007.
No, probably 2010, because you don't have to have a real estate brokerage for doing property management.
Got you. And so at some point, you then started building a team, right? Because I
did,
know we've
yeah.
featured you as a broker and as a team leader. And was that always the plan from the beginning? Or did that just kind of naturally evolve because you were so busy and you needed some help? Or tell us a little bit about that.
I like sales. Sales is something that I've done. Obviously, it's very lucrative. It's been good to me and my family. And so I didn't fall into it. I, by design, started doing it. Being local, and from there you have a lot of connections.
Sure.
And it's hard once you get started, and it becomes easier as you go along, right?
Did you have people that just kind of saw what you were doing and were like, I got to be a part of this? So Annie, help me out. Teach me the business.
People actually having other agents was not in the beginning at all.
Okay.
So that's something that evolved a little bit later on, where I started it. Initially, there was just myself. I had a different broker to begin with because I didn't have my broker's license at that time, who was a friend. And I hired a young woman by the name of Danielle Landreth, who's still with me, and that all kind of changed. It was a lovely partnership working with her, teaching her how to do the business. And now she helps me to run my company. She's also the leader of the Annie Fleeting team.
Yep.
And we started growing that. We're small. We're not a big team. We're like 7 members.
Yep.
And but it's real comfortable, real friendly, and it's part of my job that I like the best. Right?
Are the 7 people you mentioned, are they all 7 agents? Or
They're all agents.
They're all agents. Yep.
But I mean, they're not the only people that are the best part of my job. It's the people that I work with and that help me with my team. So
For sure.
That's the best part.
Is most of your focus now, would you say, Annie, on the brokerage side where you're supporting the 7 agents and doing everything you can to help them? Or are you still doing it solo and individual production as well? Or how has that evolved?
So I still do solo and individual production.
Okay.
Right. One of the great things about having the vacation rentals is that when someone wants to sell it, I have the listing. Mm-hmm. So that's a nice little feeder for myself.
Makes
so
sense.
I still do that. And then Danielle and another woman, Katie Hale, they basically take care of the team.
Okay.
And managing them. I mean, we meet together on a regular basis, but they're the ones that are coaching, training, and bringing those individuals onto the Annie Fleeting team.
Does the entire organization focus on the short-term rentals, or is that more of just your personal focus?
No, the team doesn't. The team is strictly real estate sales.
Okay.
Right. But I have a whole different division, and they're the ones that do the vacation rentals.
Do you enjoy that business?
I do. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's 24/7.
Right.
So.
I think you said you manage over 100 or over 130 units right now.
Yeah, we have one resort on St. Pete Beach, Sunrise Resort, which is a 58-unit resort that are 3-night minimums. And it's right across the street from Tradewinds. And,
Sure.
and on the bay there.
You take the kids to Cradons all the time.
Yeah, so it's that's kind of the jewel in our crown.
Nice.
And I hope that we will be able to add more resorts like that to the portfolio.
Do you guys find that you have some sort of marketing campaigns in place that attracts these investors that want to get in that space of STRs, or is it more just been organic where people see you from online presences or whatever and end up asking you, what's a good investment, and then it just facilitates that way? How do you generally find, would you say, your investors that you work with?
Well, obviously, because we do the short-term rentals, we have a pool of people that are coming to visit, and we let them know that we are realtors and that we can help them if they're looking to buy their own vacation rental or investment, or even, a lot of people are coming here to homestead and
Sure.
and get the benefits of being a resident of the state of Florida, right?
Sure.
So that's part of it, but mostly it's just like the real estate. It's a people business, right? So you get a referral from somebody that says, "Hey, she did a great job for me. Her team did a great job for me," and it's grown fairly organically. We haven't been out there really pounding the streets to gather new clients.
Okay. Of those 130 something units that you said you manage now, how many investors does that represent? How many different ownership groups do you know?
No, probably 120 or something.
Oh, it's really
like
that many.
110.
Okay.
Yeah, most
so
of
it's
them
not
are-
like you have like a big whale that has 100 of them.
No, but if you're out there, I'd love to
You're
talk
open
to
to
you.
it.
Yeah.
But that's neat. So that's interesting. So it sounds like it'd be more private, a lot of private investors
It is.
that
It's
own
a lot
those.
of one-offs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. Because I think sometimes, as you were saying earlier, like in this space, especially now, there is more of those bigger whales getting into it, right? That are trying to buy up 100 units at a time. And I guess it's great as an agent to partner with somebody like that and work with that person. But I think it's also neat as a small business owner myself.
Right.
And I'm actually very interested in this space, which is why I'm asking you these questions too, is I like the investment opportunity. And I think I think we've only just seen what the potential of that could be as Airbnb and other platforms, I think, help accelerate it.
Right.
So it's kind of neat.
I think it actually is a great investment strategy for someone. You don't have to purchase $1 million plus waterfront property to be able to use it as a vacation rental.
Sure.
And with the way our property values are accelerating, right? I mean, even though it's not like it was when everything was bananas in 22, they're still rising.
Yeah.
So you put your money in, you're getting at least enough income, right, to pay the bills. You've got a place to stay in when you fancy a trip to the beach area.
Yep.
And then you have the equity that you're building. So I think it's a great way for people to be able to build wealth.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Is it mostly like one bedroom beach condos, would you say, and studios and stuff?
No, probably we have more. 2 bedrooms are much more desirable.
Sure.
A 2-2 is more desirable than a 1-1, but there's a place for them too. Not
Yeah.
everybody can afford the beachfront unit.
Sure.
Right. So we have affordable properties as well as ones that are very high end.
And typically these are like condos, right? Beachfront
Yes.
condo type
but we do have
spots.
some houses too.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that you think is relevant, whether it be regulation wise, because I know that seems like it's changing a lot all the times as far as what the municipalities allow in this
Right.
space and so forth. Anything you feel like is maybe newer that would be worth bringing up to the audience that would help educate them in this space if they have an interest in getting involved with it?
So I think really that the most important thing if you're thinking about getting involved in short-term rentals is that you make sure that the investment that you're looking at is actually legal to do what it is that you want to do.
That's a good one.
I've seen a number of people that have made advertisements for properties that simply aren't per the code.
Sure.
And so, if you're not going to be able to rent it weekly, if you're going to get, a violation, your plans could go up in smoke very quickly. So that's extremely important.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And that really just comes with I guess there's certain websites you can go to try to educate yourself, right? On what those nuances are.
Well, as a realtor, I would advise you to be with
To talk to you. Yes.
a trusted real estate professional that can make sure that is correct. And then there's also the question of whether or not the projections and the things that you're getting are accurate, obtainable.
Yeah.
So it is something that one has to be careful with.
Of course.
And know, but
Just like any investment, you don't want to just rush into it.
Right.
When you work with somebody who's interested in that space, potentially as an investor, is the conversation different than you would generally have with someone who is, of course, just typical buyer or seller of a residential home, right? It's obviously more about return on investment, and you're breaking down those numbers, I would imagine, right? And looking at cash on cash returns and stuff of that nature. Is that your experience?
So, well, there's a lot of different aspects. One of the things, anytime I go to talk to someone about that, I say to them, okay, well, what are your goals here? Do you want to just have it break even? Is it important to you that this is, a big cash generator? How often are you going to use it? Because let's say that somebody wants to buy a place so that they can stay here in the winter. Well, if they're taking up February and March, they've just lost their 2 best months, right? So there's a lot of questions about usage, personal usage. Do you have a dog? Do you have kids? Right?
Yeah.
If you're going to bring your dog, I need to go find you a place that will let your dog come there. And FYI, good luck.
Yeah.
Right? So,
they're not everywhere.
No,
huh?
they're thin on the ground. Right. So, it has to be what they want, especially if it's going to be a place that they're going to vacation with. It's not like you find in a little duplex that's got a good rate of return on it, and that's what matters, right? This is about location, amenities, and an experience, which typically isn't really what you're looking for in an investment property, right? You're not looking for that sort of family vacation experience that you're going to be able to enjoy while at the same time, making money and building equity.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. You really have to take that consultant approach first, which I guess is a common trait of all top agents and whoever their buyers or sellers are, right? Finding out those needs and then making sure that your strategy is aligned, right? With what those needs would be. In your experience now, Annie, are there any specific like hot markets or pockets that you're seeing really growing rapidly throughout your focus really is on the beaches, right? Over in that area, I'd imagine. Do you do any other short-term rental management or real estate in Tampa or any other areas? It's all beachfront for you, right?
I don't. I'm from Indian Rocks Beach to Tierra Verde.
Okay. Great areas.
Yeah, that's where we work. We do have some places that are within St. Petersburg or near the beaches, close proximity to the beaches. I don't go past Indian Rocks. I get a nosebleed if I hit Clearwater. This is too far north for me. So that's and to us it's important that we can get there if there's an emergency.
Right.
We have to be within a 30-minute drive.
I think I told you before, I used to own Tierra Verde Living as one of our franchises. And I fell in love with the Tierra Verde neighborhood. I think it's gorgeous. And there's just really cool people there. It's a very fun vibe. And I felt like they were very community focused and oriented. So that's a side note, but it was a lot of fun there for sure. So in that market, from Indian Rocks Beach to Tierra Verde, are there any certain pockets that are really doing well or certain regulations that are in favor of the investor that other markets maybe not as much? Does anything jump out at you?
Things are changing. If you look at the news, Indian Rocks Beach, they're fighting what's going on there, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. It's all good. I mean, honestly, it really and truly is. It's all very good. Our beaches they're the most beautiful beaches in the world.
Constantly voted that too. It seems like with every other publication out there.
So we're in a sweet spot all the way along.
Very cool.
So.
Now, your husband's not from this area.
No, he is not.
He's from Scotland, I think, if I remember correctly.
Glasgow.
Glasgow. Now, did you live there for a while?
I did.
And is that how you guys met?
Nope. He was, actually, we met here in Tampa.
Okay.
On West Shore Boulevard. He was importing to the United States two of Britain's biggest selling beers. He owned the rights to that for North America.
Okay.
And he was doing a test market. Back when Bob Martinez was the mayor.
Oh, very neat.
So that was in 82. And that's how we met, through soccer and mutual friends. And
so you weren't in real estate yet?
I was not.
Yeah.
Not at that time. I was not.
So he was a fun guy. I enjoyed getting to know him a little bit at the night, the evening that we had there. How long did you live in Scotland?
A decade.
You were?
I lived there.
Were you in real estate then, out there?
Actually, I was in property management.
You were?
So,
okay.
And he had a string of shopping centers.
Okay.
And also bars and restaurants that we worked in. So it was varied, but the shopping centers were kind of cool. They were small for individuals that you would come in. So it was like an indoor upmarket flea market type thing.
Interesting.
Where you had individual retailers. And anyway, and then we had some bars and nightclubs. So
did you enjoy your time there in Scotland?
I did. I loved it. The people are friendly. The weather is absolutely diabolical for a girl from Florida.
Yes, very different than here, I would imagine.
Yeah, it really is. But I really did have fun there.
What was it that caused you guys to leave and make your way back to Florida?
I think it was just time. I had spent time there, and he's one of 6, and I'm one of 2. Mm-hmm. And my mom wanted to retire, and that was supposed to be my job to make that possible for her. So I came back and went to work with my mom, actually in the nursing home business.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. So you had a couple different backgrounds then before you really got full-time committed to real estate, huh?
I did, yeah.
Very cool. Was there anything, I guess the property management experience you had is the most obvious connection to where you are today. Is there any other things that you experienced that you think really prepared you to be a great broker as you now focus your energy in?
Gosh, I really don't know. I think I'm not sure what being a great broker really means, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm sure that I'm still working towards that goal.
Yeah.
I try to do right by the people that are with me. I try to help them as much as I can to have the life and, the career that they're looking for. We're very family inclusive. I believe that's you have to make room for that, for everybody, and be supportive of that. And even as a team, I'm very proud of the portfolio I have in my vacation rental group and all the wonderful people that help me to run that. And it's a team.
Sure.
So the fact that, and we've had that for a long time, but then building the real estate team was just an extension of that. And it's fun. I look forward to going to team meetings. I look forward to sitting down and chatting with the people and seeing them achieve their goals. And that's been a very rewarding part of doing real estate, is being able to give some of the people that are with me a different lifestyle altogether.
Now, before you became a licensed broker, you were a team leader, correct? You built the team through your group. Am I accurate about that?
Well, I was a broker before I started building the team.
Oh, so you already were. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask is that sometimes I'll talk to people who are like debating whether they want to be a broker because they feel like in some ways, I guess, that it bogs them down with other things compared to just being a team leader perspective. So I'm maybe interested on your opinion of that dynamic and whether or not you even experienced a difference or if it mattered to you either way.
So we were extremely small when I was actually acting as the broker, and now basically Danielle, who I mentioned earlier, although she doesn't have a broker's license, she's the one that's doing counseling training, and assisted by Katie Hale, who's also Horrell, who is our team leader as well, that she's helping with them. So, there's only so many hours in a day. Yeah. Right. Even though I start at before dark and finish after, right?
Yes.
There's
still working hard.
So many hours in a day. And you know what? They're better at it than I am.
Mm-hmm. It's the key thing about being a team, I would imagine, is finding the right people.
Right. They're better at it. They're better team leaders than I am. They're focused. Yeah. Whereas I'm always running around like a crazy person. So,
well, you must have done something right, Annie.
Yeah. I surrounded myself with the right people.
That's key, and that's a big trait. A lot of people struggle with that. Yeah. Just identifying. I don't know if you've been able to think that through as to how you were able to do that, or if it just came naturally to you. But I think that's a thing that a lot of people who are building teams do struggle with, is they go through and they kind of churn people, hoping for the right people to stick. Rather than maybe having a process in place that allows you to identify who those right people are earlier. Is that something that you do intentionally, or does that just kind of come?
We're honestly increasing the number of people on my team is if that happens, great. Yeah. What is much more important to me is the integrity, the cohesiveness that we have, and the feeling where when we get together, we're looking forward to seeing one another, talking about it, helping one another. We have regular Monday morning meetings, and it's okay. I've got open houses. Who's doing it? And everybody's helping everybody. Yeah. Right. So it's much more important to me that anybody else that comes in is an asset to that, and that we benefit from them. I would you could come and show me the greatest producer that there was. Mm-hmm. And if they didn't feel like a team player to me, I would not be interested.
Yeah.
No.
And is that even part of somehow? Is that part of like your interviewing process to kind of hopefully screen that out or find if do they really think they would be a cultural fit or just like gut with you? Like you just go with someone that you feel like.
No, we need to
Screen
actually
them,
the people that
interview
we come to basically have been referrals that my people have found through relationships that they had, so they were known entities.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. We've had other brokers and team leaders on the show before talking about their like processes and strategies.
Right.
And I find it interesting how there's so many different ways to do it, right? And there are many different ways even to be successful with it. Typically, we don't have anybody on this show who hasn't made it work, right? Because they're successful for a reason. But I always find it fascinating that there's not just one way. You know, there's different ways to be able to build a great team. And it seems like your agents, I believe, have been with you for a while. Like they're not newer. You've like you said, you've built this family that now seem to really be united and they stick together. It doesn't seem like it's a new thing. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean I've had some mistakes along the way.
I'm sure.
So
it's okay if you want to admit them. You know,
the
you don't have to be perfect.
Is to learn by them. It's very interesting. When I first was excited to try to get people, I was just thrilled that somebody wanted to come over. And,
right.
And I had a couple of nightmares with that, and I thought. At one point, I thought, I don't care if nobody ever walks through that door and joins me again. I'm okay with just who we've got, But, I mean, I had to change my dress code so that people weren't wearing leather hot pants. And
I thought you were rocking the sandals and flip-flops for beach season,
well,
right?
That's okay. That's okay.
You're okay with the beachy attire.
Yeah. So there's been some stumbles along the way. But,
right.
That's the good thing about being the age I am and where I am. I can afford to enjoy coming to work.
Yeah, that's really, really important, I think. I mean, especially if you're building your own business.
Right.
It's got to be something that you are proud and excited to be a part of, right?
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about just you personally for people who don't know you. So how long have you been married now?
Well, we've been together 41 years.
41 years.
Took him 7 years to marry me, though. So.
Same thing with me. It took me 7 years.
That's a sore topic with me, but I don't know how your wife feels.
You were ready after year one, huh?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I wonder if it is a sore topic for her. I should probably ask her that, huh?
Yeah.
But you guys have been together 41 years. Do you have kids?
We do.
How many?
4.
4 boys, girls?
2 and 2.
And how old are they?
Oh, I can't tell you
you can't
how old
tell
the
me
oldest one is, but the youngest one's 33. So how about that?
Wow. Are they all local?
No, I just have 3 local, and my eldest daughter, who's flying in from Vancouver, Canada today, she is in Canada.
She lives in Vancouver?
Yep.
Nice. What are any of them in real estate, or they all do something different?
They all do something different, although my son, James, he works with me. So
he does? That's nice.
He works in the vacation rental business with me.
That's very cool. So he was the one who kind of followed Mama's footsteps, huh?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of, yeah. So he's not doing sales, though he is licensed. He's doing all of the internet security and all of that sort of stuff. Right?
Got you. And your husband is not really in your business. He's retired and just enjoying life for the most part. And
no, he's renovating a property for me, so he's not enjoying it at all.
He's
very sore knees. And
the opposite of enjoyment right now.
Right. So yeah.
What do you guys love to do for fun when you're just getting a chance to enjoy some time?
Travel.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite place to go other than Scotland?
Well, we try to get home on a regular basis. I like cruising. I like to go to Europe. It's easy to do the Bahamas and the Caribbean, that sort of thing, if it's going to be a quick trip. But I hope, like I have not been to China and those places. That's kind of a goal to have that happening. But
on
then
the
you got
list
to
still, huh?
be away for a while. So
yeah, that's a flight.
Yeah.
My I think I told you I have 5 kids. They're all pretty young, but our 6-year-old boy, he really likes Disney. So we've gone to Disney World, of course, a bunch of times. We have the annual pass. We went to California this year, and now he thinks we're just going to hop on a plane and go to Disney Tokyo.
Oh, right.
He's like, when are we going to Tokyo, Dad? As if it's like across the street, He hasn't quite figured that part of it out yet, but yes.
It's pretty tough. We were looking at air miles to go to Asia on a trip for next year. And it used to be like you could, not Asia, but say you could go to Europe for 125,000 miles and fly, business class. Now it's like 400,000 miles or something.
They've changed their standards.
Yeah, it's very challenging now, but my husband's from Scotland, so he's good at finding deals. So
Have you ever done one of those Viking cruises?
I have not.
I want to do that. It's on my list. I think they look neat. Just the areas anyway that they go through seems like it'd be a pretty cool experience.
My sister-in-law did it, and she hated it. She said
really?
She said the ads they show you that they stop right there. So you're at a windmill, or you're at like the very place that you want to be. And when in reality you get off and you go on buses and you travel to the area. So she was
interesting.
I always wanted to do it too.
It's good to know the inside scoops, though, for sure.
She put me off. So
now it's like not even on the list anymore.
It's not.
Did you have a favorite country that you visited?
I love going to Nice in France, and that's in Scotland, of course.
Yep.
Although the weather there is pretty tough to take, but summer's good.
Castles must be gorgeous, though, huh?
Huh?
The castles must be gorgeous there, though.
They are, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that would be neat. I've never been. I've been to Ireland. I think I told you guys that. I was there for about a week in Galway, and I loved Galway, actually. That was my favorite area. I felt like it was more, in my head anyway, what I imagined Ireland to be like. It was the Galway market more than Dublin. I like Dublin too, but Galway was pretty neat, I thought anyway.
And people were friendly.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was like, the local Irish pubs, and, I think there was like big soccer games going on, if I remember at the time. And so I felt like I was really just in there with the locals, really enjoying the real culture, So it was a pretty cool experience, no doubt. So I typically do some really quick rapid fire questions, right? Of just, again, letting the audience get to know you a little bit more if they don't already know you.
Let me have a sip here.
So yeah, feel free. Take two if you want. First question is simple. Just, do you have a favorite like book or seminar, or maybe even like a author that you think has made an impact on you professionally or personally? Anybody come to mind, or anything come to mind?
I've been reading Stephen Covey, First Things First.
Yeah, it's a great book.
So I think that's been, I don't always manage to follow the advice.
Yes.
But I think that's a pretty grounding way to think about how you need to organize your life, not just your business, but everything else. It's by putting first things first.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get trapped in the minutia and to lose track of, what's the most important thing I've got to do today. Right.
That's so true. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're busy, right? As a broker, I imagine you would be on a consistent basis. So waking up every day, knowing what your priorities are and actually tackling them. There's another book out there. I'm going to butcher it, but it's about like, taking the bite of the elephant first, something like that. Okay. Right. And it's just, what is that big domino that is the most important thing that we need to tackle every day, and how most people push that off and maybe get to it at some point.
Right. Do the hard thing first.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't always do this, just to be
it's
perfectly
a good principle.
clear.
It's a very good principle.
In principle, it's a really great idea. I can vouch for that. Yeah. So.
Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
Oh gosh, we just finished watching all of Ted Lasso, which I absolutely love.
I'm embarrassed to say I've only seen one episode. I have to watch more because it was funny.
It was really good, and we were involved in professional soccer in Scotland, so that was fun for me. We're watching Wrexham.
Okay. Netflix, binging the Netflix shows? Or Apple TV, I guess?
Yes. The other one's on Hulu, I guess. So, yeah. So I enjoyed that. Watch movies and different things like that. So
no doubt.
I don't know.
That Ted Lasso is pretty popular now, though. It seems like.
Do you know what? It's probably one of the best feel-good programs I've watched in a really long time. I was so sad when it was all over.
They did finish it, huh? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's
How many different seasons?
3 seasons.
3. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'm sure I'll binge it over a weekend or something.
Oh, it's fun. It's
get
really
through
fun.
as many as I can.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Gosh, I don't know. My husband's favorite food is Indian, so we eat a lot of that. Yeah.
Is there like a cool Indian restaurant out by you?
There is. Gateway to India on Bay Pines Boulevard or Tyrone Boulevard.
Little plug to them. Gateway to India.
Yeah.
There you go. Check it out, people.
Is really great. So I enjoy that. And gosh, I don't know. I like just about anything.
Okay. You're not too picky with it, huh?
No, I'm not.
The food's a little different in Scotland, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I happen to like haggis, neeps, and toddies.
See, I don't even know what you're talking about.
So haggis is the one that, everybody talks about. Oh, it's so gross. It's stuff that's put inside a sheep's bladder and boiled and cooked. And I love it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to think about
Do you guys have it here?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just when you're in Scotland.
You're not allowed to sell... you can't import stuff with offal products. That's not awful. It's offal. And so the one that you get here is icky.
Interesting. So you have had it here, and it's just not the same. So
we we tried to do Burns night suppers, and we had it, and even I couldn't pretend that it was, that it tasted good. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, nothing like the real deal, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Huh? The original. Couple last questions. One of the things I was thinking about is, in your experience now, because you've been in the real estate game now for a little while, what do you think, Annie, from your perspective, is like the most rewarding part of your career? Being a broker, what you've built, all the short-term rental experience, property management experience, the things you're doing now with your team as well. What do you find the most fulfilling?
I think for me, it's helping other people to realize their goals and being able to accomplish mine along with them. So it's a symbiotic relationship. If they do well, I do well, right? Mm-hmm. So as a broker owner of your company, if your agents are doing well, you're making money, but you're also watching them maybe change their lifestyle. Maybe they go from renting to owning.
Sure.
They go from not being able to have vacations to traveling abroad. So that's for me personally, that makes me feel like what I'm doing is more worthwhile than just selling houses. But there's moments in real estate where we're helping people achieve their dreams in real estate that are also spectacular too.
As far as clients and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and investors.
Yeah. And we have a lot of those people that are looking, like the vacation rental side, and purchasing those is a lifestyle change as well.
Sure.
Right? For people. So for me, it's the people aspect of it. And I love pricing it right and getting multiple offers. Sure. and going, yes, it's a win. But those are fleeting moments, if you will. Whereas as the other ones are, they're lasting. And when I'm older and grayer, I'll be able to look back and say, oh, I'm really happy that I did that.
Is there a moment you can think of where you felt like you learned something from a particular challenge that you were facing in the real estate world, or a lesson that you feel like you learned from whatever, something might have happened, and you look back on it and you're like, that was a really important thing or a turning point that I really felt helped me, in my career? And if nothing comes to mind, that's fine. But I like asking that because I think there's a lot of power sometimes in overcoming some of the challenges that we face. And people who might not have experienced something like that yet can sometimes learn from someone like yours experience that can help them along the way. Does anything come to mind?
God, I'm trying to think of something specific. Obviously you've had good and bad things that have happened to you.
Of course.
And one of the things that I always try to do is to learn from other people that I work with. I mean, I've had the great fortune to work with some of the best, in the business. And some people are envious in an ugly way.
Yeah.
I'm envious in a grateful way, that they're up there being leaders in the industry and representing our brand the way that they are as realtors. So I'm trying to think of something that would be, because I don't want to think, because there's been negative things. I said, oh, hell no.
I'm not doing that.
That's not happening again. I guarantee it. That's not going to happen again. But on the positive side, I genuinely love helping people to make the right decision. I hate it when I can't convince them. One of the agents in my office, he and his wife were my clients. Mm-hmm. And I begged them to buy this property, right? And they weren't going to do it. And I finally pushed them and they got it. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's doubled in equity since they bought it in 2020.
Now they're all grateful, huh?
And no, it was just like, I even look back on that, and every once in a while I go, "Hey, Bill, remember that?" And he goes, yeah, that was a good thing. So I just think if you have the right motive, then you can look back on everything, and even if it wasn't good, at least you were doing the right thing or the best that you could at the time.
Yep.
Right?
Makes sense.
So I try to focus on that. And I think that's what my whole team does, is that we just, we're like, all right, wake up, do it again, and try to do the best that you can.
I think a lot of that has to stem from just your mentality of like, do you really view your role as adding value? And do you have a servant leadership mentality, which I think as a great broker, you'd have to be that way. Because, it's just going to be very obvious to your team if you're not having their interests at heart, right?
Right.
And their interests first. Who's going to want to be retained and work over time with someone like that? And unfortunately, there probably are brokers out there who just view it more as a commission first type mentality rather than what's really in the best interest for my team members and how can I make sure that they're supported and encouraged and can help them achieve their goals, right? Their dreams.
Right. But to be fair, I'm a small company.
Sure.
So if you have 7, 8, 9, 10 agents, it's an entirely different thing from if you're a large firm and you have 80.
Yeah.
You're
Makes
not going
sense.
to be able to know all of them. So
Right.
you have to have policies and procedures, and you have to have a way of working that protects everybody and protects the business. So it's a different model, no less valid, right? It just happened to be I'm on the small side, and I'm comfortable with that.
Sure.
So there's nothing wrong. There's everything right with doing it the other way too. Yeah. So
What most excites you about the future when you think about moving forward the rest of this year, whether this is business or personal, but rest of this year moving forward, is there something that you're pretty excited about, looking forward to?
I don't know if I would say looking forward to it as much as where I am on the beaches. There's a lot of condos, and there's new Florida condo laws that have come out, with the milestone inspection and structural integrity reserve studies. And we've been working very hard to get up to speed and educated about that. I'm also a licensed community association manager, so I'm involved in what happens with the HOAs. That resort I talked to you about, that's Sunrise Resort on St. Pete Beach. I manage that HOA. So I am looking forward to realtors in general being able to step up and help our condo population in the older condos really navigate this. This will go be a little bit of a rocky road for a bit.
Sure.
I had
So that was a new leadership challenge for you, huh?
It will be. Well, it's for all of us.
Right.
Right. It's for all of us. And I think it's important. I had somebody was talking to me, a reporter was talking to me about it the other day, and they said, this is going to kill the Florida condo market. And I said, no, because it's Champlain Towers when it fell in 2021 in Sunrise, Florida.
Yep.
And now they've come up with Senate Bill 4D and Senate Bill 154, which just passed. And so there's a milestone inspection and a structural integrity reserve study that are being required. And you have to fully fund reserves.
Yep.
So without doing a deep dive into it, we are looking at escalating HOA fees. And we are looking at properties that have had deferred maintenance. Because if you're a board member, everybody hates you if you raise the HOA fee, right?
Right.
And so there's a lot of deferred maintenance in our old condos. But this isn't a bad thing. This is a good thing. And I think it's absolutely was necessary for the state of Florida, or for anywhere, so that we made sure that they were safe for everybody to live in. So we're going to have a period of correction.
Yeah.
And
that was quite a tragedy, of course, that event in the Miami area. And that was, I would imagine, an eye-opener for a lot of people that are in your space as to how important it really is to make sure that things are going to be kept up to date and things are going to be funded properly, because people's lives are at risk if not. Well,
they are. And there's such a difference between, commercial and non. As I said, my brother with his company, within a month of the Champlain Towers falling, they were already getting structural inspections done by engineers on the properties that they manage because it's the prudent thing to do.
Sure.
Right? Whereas here we're having to legislate for it, right? So that there isn't deferred maintenance. So, but the important thing about it, and the message that I think is important, is that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a period of adjustment while we get used to it. And I don't think there's ever been a time when the role of a realtor was more important than in navigating this new, I don't want to say minefield because that seems dramatic, but navigating the new field that we have for Florida condos.
The new reality in that space, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And that's where your leadership can be needed.
Yeah, well, that's where all of our leadership is needed.
That's right.
We all need to educate ourselves and to be able to help the public and navigate that space and kind of stop the fear-mongering and saying that this is a good thing, but it's going to be a period of adjustment for us. So I don't know that I'm looking forward to it, but I sure am ramping up for it and prepared to do what I think is our duty in terms of educating the public.
Very cool. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that...
As boring as it is.
Well, it's important, though. I think it is important. I got one last question for you, and then we'll put a bow on this episode. And I think it ties in a little bit to what we just a little bit discussed, which is like the future. I think I call it the legacy question, which is just basically when you think about what you want to be remembered for when your time is done in real estate, whenever that may be, and maybe you don't ever want it to be done in real estate, who knows? But I think it's interesting sometimes why, we tend to go to work every single day and we work hard, and most people, I think they're doing it for something bigger than just the money, right? And the immediate benefits sometimes that you can get. But when you're sitting on that rocking chair one day, Annie, and eating your Scottish food, what do you think is most important to you? What would you like to be remembered for most, whether that's professionally or even personally? What's most important to you?
I don't plan on selling my business. I hope to be able to retire and have the people that are on my team run it for me. Mm-hmm. So I hope that I'll get pleasure knowing that there's still jobs that are being created and people that are being serviced, and that there's a legacy of Next Home Beach Time Realty. Yeah, and that it will have provided a good workplace, a good income, and a good future for the people that work for me and for the people that we service, that we've done a good job. So I'm not building it up to sell it. I'm
Sure.
building it up for the long term and for the people that work with me. So that's my hopeful legacy.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think a lot of people view it differently, where they try to build their business with that exit strategy in mind.
Right.
And the idea that the people that you're bringing on board can realize that this business is going to hopefully be something that can, I can't talk anymore, but they can actually have as part of their legacy,
right,
for many, many years to come. And I think that would just naturally get people more committed to wanting to build it and,
right,
and their role, in making that happen. So if anybody ever wanted to connect with you, Annie, and just pick your brain a little bit about short-term rentals or about investing, or just, want to talk to you about beachfront real estate, what's the best way for people to reach you?
My number is really easy, 727-504-1111. Or you can
That's simple to remember.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yes.
1111. Or somebody tried to sell me a vanity phone number the other day. I was like, dude,
I have one.
Have you got one better than this? Oh, hey, that is good. You texted me. What are you thinking? Anyway, or Annie@beachtimeteam.com.
Annie@beachtimeteam.com. Cool. Yeah. We'll put that in the post, and make sure you guys can see that on our YouTube channel post and everything else. So it was great to have you here today, diving in a little bit more to your story and your expertise, of course, in this space. I know it's not easy to get over here all the way from the beaches, so I appreciate you making the time and driving out. We always end every episode with a challenge, and that is for anybody who's watched this episode and invested the time, what is one action step that you can take from the conversation today that is going to help you, take a step forward, whether that's professionally or even personally? Maybe it's you're interested in short-term rentals, and there's a few things that you heard Annie say that sparked your interest that you might want to do more research on, or maybe you just need to have a conversation with someone like Annie about this space. And so if that interests you, maybe that's the action step, or maybe it's picking up the book that she mentioned, who knows, and wanting to read that. But what is one specific action step that you can take so your time would have been worth it in listening to this podcast, and you can use it to move forward and progress in your career and in your personal life? So we'll see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers, and we'll check you later.